So yeah, I'm Gerald Keys. How you guys doing today?
I'm good.
Thank you. So y'all all are what kind of students right now? Like what's your majors and stuff like that?
Music production.
Music production.
Vocal performance.
Amazing, amazing. Well, I'm a music producer. I'm an audio engineer. I'm a mixing engineer. I'm an AI enthusiast. I'm a live sound engineer. Everything under the sun that kind of everybody named here. I'm also an executive. I do a lot of great stuff with Ludacris. Yes, ma'am.
I've heard of you before. It's just your name is so familiar.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't really be looking at like what I did when I be like doing stuff and then moving on to the next stuff. So, and then trying to always find the next thing. But yeah, so the main thing I'm known for as a job wise is I'm chief of production for Ludacris. So that really just means like I have 5 different jobs under him that kind of go under all those things that you guys just named. As of recently, I've become the chief of production or the chief of arts and music for the Ludacris Foundation. So that's doing things of just educating young people on all the different tools that are out there because I work with a lot of these companies. Everybody from OpenAI to the company Suno, if you guys know about AI music. Done things with Microsoft, run a lot of programs with Microsoft, Google, YouTube, a lot of great Netflix, Mattel, McDonald's, a lot of those kind of companies. So what I'm trying to do now, the intent of why I'm here is to kind of educate everybody on like what's happening, what you should be looking for, just because I believe that working with youth and young people that are trying to upgrade yourself in this economy, in this new space that we're in, where technology is more at the forefront than, let's just say, analog ways of doing things. Being a millennial, I grew up analog, but I was pretty much, being adult digital. So I understand the benefits of both worlds, where some people that haven't been in it as long as I have understand all the gamut. So especially when it comes to us, when they said Morris Brown, I was like, oh yeah, for sure, because this information, I promise you, is not getting out to the appropriate places and people, and I just try to do my best to relay, answer questions, and give some insight on things. So, good?
Yeah, we had
Did I stall good enough? I don't know. I feel like
No, you did good, sorry, it wasn't pulling up, so.
No, you good.
Okay, so, as he said, he has over 15 years of experience behind the boards. He's cemented himself as one of today's leading independent producers and recording mixing engineers. His credits span a range of major artists including Justin Bieber, Usher, French Montana, Ty Dolla $ign, Zendaya, and more. So you're from Sacramento.
Yes, Sacramento, California.
And you serve as the personal producer to Ludacris, as you just stated. Also, he is the founder of Prompt House.
Yes.
And one of the leaders in this AI and production wave that is happening. And so we're gonna be diving deeper into that because we definitely need to have more clarity on, what's to come, and who better than have you come in and tell us what we should expect, what new technologies are out there, and also just kind of taking away some of the fears that people have when it comes to AI and creators and creating new music, but also the benefits and how it can help them elevate going into this next season. So I'm going to, going off my phone is like slow.
Oh, good.
But, all right, so I'm gonna start with this. You've worked with some of the biggest names in music, as we said, Justin Bieber, Usher, Ludacris. But what originally drew you to music production and sound engineering?
I grew up in a musical household in the sense of my parents played music all around me. My dad's a musician, he's a guitar player, so there's always like equipment in the house. I won't say a studio, but just more like stuff for him to practice, like with guitar and amps. And the homies, and being from California, it was like basketball, football, rap, or whatever.
Yeah.
That was kind of like a thing. It wasn't really like, there was no tech world or anything of that nature for real. our culture. And so, the homies rapping, I was rapping. That was like one of the first times like our reaction had like a crowd of people,
Yeah.
like just freestyling. But then eventually I couldn't write no more like good rhymes. I couldn't think of nothing compared to what I was listening to. So then I used to just take songs from like stuff that I heard with my uncle because he was older,
Yeah.
and then rap them around my friends and make them sound good as mine.
Oh, wow.
So it like allowed me to have like, you know, a entry point into being able to like perform. So that was kind of like my entry point. And then in high school, I kind of didn't know what I wanted to do in the sense of like forward education. Sports wasn't like the thing that was working out for me. So I got into garage band, you know, from rapping all those years, you know, around friends, to taking a video production class, getting into garage band and putting loops together, because I didn't know how to play music. I didn't really learn. I went to church, but I did audio visual in church.
Yeah.
So doing that, and once I did that, it kind of just set me on a path of being like, you know what, I actually want to know how to make the music,
Yeah.
like all the way. And this is pre-YouTube. This is like 2002 when I'm having this revelation. So yeah, so then it kind of just, you know, set me on the journey right there, and that's how I got into it.
Yeah, do all of y'all remember when you fell in love with music or started
Yes.
producing or writing, and what like pulls you into that?
Yes.
Is it the thing that like pushes you or drives you to keep going now? Or,
Yeah.
yeah?
Now, yes.
Mhm.
My younger years is definitely what influenced me.
That's deep, and like it just really keeping that story alive, and it like also inspires others to be like, huh, you know, maybe I should
No.
do this.
It definitely is the reason why you gotta keep going. Like the reason why you got into it. No matter what pivots you make, you know, always kind of keep that as a forefront, because that's the little kid in you that's trying not to die.
That's, can you
So-
wait, can you run, can you run that back?
No, so I, you know, I always tell people, it's like in life we have to pivot, you know, and do certain things, take care of responsibilities and blah blah blah. But as you're on your journey, it's very important to always try to like do things and remember why you love doing it, because that's literally like the little kid in you trying to just stay alive before like responsibilities and the weight of the world get on you and all that other stuff. So when you're not making any money from it, just try to keep that little person alive, because once you do have success with it, whether it's in the form of what you're looking like or not, it will bring you joy, you know, some kind of way, whether it not be the thing that you're exactly pinpointing at that time. So just kind of always do that. Like that's a huge part of my success, and a lot of people I know. It's like I've had, on paper, I've had like 15, 16 jobs easy since the time I'm like 13. But it was always because, you know, I was just transitioning to take care of life. But I always made sure I was pouring either into people with music, or I was doing music wholeheartedly, you know what I'm saying? But it was just like, keep it going. And when it was time, like my time, it all like aligned and made sense. All those little side missions actually made sense and brought back together. So I always try to leave people, because I don't hear people talk about that enough.
I like that too, that you said the side missions and how everything kind of came together, like prepared you for what you're doing now. So how did working under Brian Michael Cox at the Art Institute of Atlanta shape you or your early approach to production?
Yeah, so that was a time, like I said, I'm from Sacramento, California, so I moved to Atlanta 2009, 2010, and that was all like MySpace connections. Like that was like the first DMing people and hoping people would reach back out, and somebody that you actually look up to reach back out, and it was like collaborating via email and all that kind of stuff. And you know, our stuff was kind of trash back then, but it was good enough that he kept like sending stuff to us, and I was part of a collective at the time. And so once that happened, and he was just, you know, sending stuff back and being like, hey, if y'all ever in Atlanta, pull up to the studio.
Hey.
I immediately, it was 6 of us. I said, when we booking our ticket? I'm saving, this is how long I need to save up. I was working like 2 jobs at a time, going to school, and, you know, trying to figure that out. But eventually I ended up saving some money. We all flew out to Atlanta Didn't actually officially get a chance to meet him that day.
Mm.
That 2 days that we were there, but he let us into his studio and
Nice.
work with the writers that were there. And so we made those connections with those people, and then went back, you know, just stayed in contact via social media. So once I got to Atlanta, Brian and the people that worked through his studio at Doppler, we all kind of were just like learning together through, you know, trying to take advantage of different opportunities. And I was the guy that was like wanting to engineer. So I didn't want to be an engineer per se. I wanted to be a producer and a rapper. But I learned very early that when you do things that nobody else wants to do,
Yeah.
everybody will keep you around. And so, you know, that was like a way for me to like finesse my way into learning how to be good, because I was trash before. It was just like, you know, I had to learn around big label people,
Yeah.
people that are working on big projects and, you know, really cutting up and doing all that stuff and just find a way to be of service. I learned that very early because I grew up in the church, so it was just like, I learned that, you know, when you be of service, people will keep you around because they need something from you. It's just
Yeah.
the dynamic
Yeah.
of life, right?
Income.
Yeah, so it was just very much so like trying to, make that happen. So fast forward to being in Atlanta the first time and working under him and a bunch of people, I saw, as a producer, how to kind of like manage infrastructure or a system for the first time. I wasn't like right up on him every day or anything of that nature. He would call me for certain sessions. Sometimes I'd be at sessions that he didn't even know I was there engineering, because it was just my connections to all the people connected to him. And I just got a chance to kind of see like, you know, the level of, even at his level, what it takes on a daily basis in, you know, theory of just being intentional every day. And when you go in and cook up, but then, you know, you gotta get writers, and then, you know, you gotta have somebody to help you on the business and help, you know, when sessions happen, how that manages, so etiquette, all that kind of stuff like that.
So I have two questions, but so the first one is, how important is musicality and understanding music when it comes to engineering as well as production?
Yeah, I mean, the more tools you have, the better you can be. I'm a Swiss Army knife because of the simple fact that I learned as many things as possible. I was always curious about learning. Even if I didn't need to learn it, I would use it. And, you know, there's a push and a pull with that though. I like to warn people about knowledge, right? The thing about knowledge is that we can be getting a lot of knowledge, but then not applying what's important and being like intentional with what we know, because sometimes we can know too much for the situation. It's always good to know as much as possible, but just knowing like, right now in this point in time of what my career, my journey is, I know I could be learning all of this stuff, but I really need to focus in on this thing because it's benefiting me the most. So let me try to like master this thing and all things that, so I can be useful with it. Because if you can't be useful with it, then it's gonna just like filter off, you know what I mean? It only gets stronger when you're being useful with whatever you're learning. But musicality and music will always be important. Whether you play an instrument and understand musicality, or you don't play an instrument and you understand musicality. The theory and all of the history and I just call them the breadcrumbs of great music. There's so many that can be left and be refigured, and especially with technology and all the other stuff. But knowing how to like guide it, especially when we're talking about AI and something that's automatic or autonomous, being able to still know how to communicate musical terms and theory, or just your wealth of knowledge. Whatever, the more that you do this, the more that you're gonna download, and all that stuff you need to be able to draw on when you're utilizing these tools. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So pay attention in class.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What they're teaching you, because you're gonna have to use that in the studio.
Yeah, pay attention in class, because when you're on the clock, it becomes anxiety kicks in when you're trying to learn while doing. But eventually you get to a point where you're just doing and then learning. There's a difference. You know what I'm saying? It's a different feeling that comes with that. So I'm always learning when I'm in the studio. But I remember those times of being like, oh, I should have, like, I took my audio engineering class twice, my first one, because I didn't take it seriously the first year. And then I started going out and operating the studio, and it's like some of these certain principles was starting to like, oh, that's why it was important to learn that, or da-da-da-da. You know what I'm saying? And so, once I took it again, you know, I aced it because I was in the studio. I got that trial and error of being like, oh, these things are important to know. Even if I don't need them right now in context, they're important to know because you will come up across the situation eventually. You know what I mean? If you want to be really great in Swiss Army knife with this, if you want to be able to make money in any kind of way in the entertainment business, you learn as much as you can, and then you learn how to mix all those things so that when somebody hires you for one thing, they have another problem, and you can fix that. Now you got yourself another job within the thing before the other job is over. You know what I mean?
So, what was one of your most memorable studio sessions that you feel comfortable sharing?
Yeah. Oh, that's fun. I would say when studio sessions, I was in New York working on the show Karma's World that we did with Ludacris, or that I did with Ludacris. It's on Netflix, and it was like, this is gonna sound so weird. I love cookies. So they had these cookies I had in London, but they had a company there in New York, and like the cookies were there for me, my exact cookies, and all this other stuff, and blah, blah, blah. And the whole point of me saying all this cool stuff was because it was like, yo, I really like, I'm in the studio with Ludacris and the executive from Netflix, and they made sure I had my cookies because of all the stuff that I learned to get me to this point. You know what I'm saying? Because I used to go to community college, and like you guys are gonna have a higher level of degree than me when it comes down to education. So, but I used to definitely be in school and being like, I want this to happen for my life, and I want this to happen, and blah blah blah, and like, yeah, life was just kind of crazy back then. So, all that to say, that's probably one of the best moments. That's a moment I realized, like, oh, okay, I'm actually here.
You're doing this.
Yeah, I'm actually here. I'm actually doing this. I'm no longer like, trying to figure it out, even though I'm trying to figure it out.
I love that. So, you're being recognized as a leader in bringing AI into music. What first sparked your interest in blending technology and creativity?
Just seeing how young people, like when I was 16, using GarageBand helped me get the gratification I wanted from making music and finding like my purpose, right? And so seeing how over the years, how we went from drum machines and keyboards and like a computer, maybe, to FL Studio, Ableton's, the DAW era, and all the young people that were made from that, you know what I mean, that had the opportunity to change their lives very early. And I think for me with AI is very much like that all over again, where it's like being a novice or beginning creative, you have the opportunity to perform in a way that gets your full vision across, without having the barrier to entry that's so high. Because there's a thing about technology and creativity where in history you had the gratification wasn't always about singularly just about the product. It was about the process that you went through to get there. There's pride in the process, which I believe is very true. But now these tools are here that aren't going anywhere, and this is the worst that we're ever going to see them. There's a way to look at gratification at the starting point, and then working and learning backwards. And so I think it's very important that I just love the fact that there's a new way, a new opportunity for people to express themselves.
Yeah.
and to, you know, have independence and control through all these different tools on what that looks like. So I think the tools are moving faster than the information on how to harness the tools. But that's because everybody's in a point right now where we're all trailblazing, whether you believe it or not, no matter what position you're in right now, you're in the time of trailblazing. Like you guys are living in history, multiple histories at once, you know, 20 years from now.
Yeah.
So anything that you feel like you want to do and create, it's valuable in this world because there's nobody that's like, this is the standard of what this new world should look like.
Yeah. So let's talk about your song Relationships,
Yep.
which blends
Yep.
AI generated elements with human songwriting.
Mm-hmm.
What was the process like, and what do you think it says about the future of music?
Oh, yeah, fire. So the process, so it's a project, it's on the DSPs, we'll leave the link, but it's The Sound of Keys is my name on it, it's on all the social, or all the DSPs. But the project Relationships was pretty much me, dealing with stuff, talking to people about relationships, and I was using ChatGPT, and I put in ChatGPT, I wanted to make a EP about this conversation, about me and a friend having this conversation. Went from there to it kind of being like a track listing of like really dope titles. And then from there, I was able to take those titles and start writing songs based off of those titles with my songwriter GPT that I built. So,
Wait, pause on
yeah,
that.
sorry.
So you created a songwriting
yeah,
GPT with ChatGPT?
right, exactly.
So what, just pause right there, because how did you do that? What was that process
So,
like?
in ChatGPT, anytime that you talk to it, you're creating a chat. And so in that chat, you can start training it off of, like, start getting to know you and know what you like, how you think, all that kind of stuff. So I pretty much just talk to my chat every day about music and songwriting and how I was using the different AI generation tools and what I didn't like about the lyrics about it. Just, you know, talking to it like a homie or a co-creator. And from there, it pretty much knew how I like to write songs.
Wow.
And like who I'm influenced by, and like, you know, all the different reasons why I'm influenced by these people.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That's so cool. Okay, so after you did that with you talked to the
Yep.
songwriter GPT,
Yep.
what was the next step?
So the next step after that was putting it into the platform Suno, putting it into that, generating the music, and really listening for how the song made me feel. Because even though it's AI, it's like everybody's like, oh, it don't have feeling, it doesn't have soul. If you prompt it right, it will. And I really studied, when I mean by studied, I go on Reddit a lot, and I go on any kind of blog that talks about AI music making. So I pretty much took that information, put that with the songwriting stuff, and put it in Suno, and it generated, you know, examples. And I just picked the best ones for each one of those topics, and I put together an EP in 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah, 10-song EP in 2 days.
Wow.
And that's not like full day worth of work. That's like, I did that maybe like 3-4 hour sessions together.
Wow.
You know.
So how has that been received?
Oh, it's been received amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's one of those things where I intentionally only gave it out to people in the industry and like people I know that are trying to figure this out and haven't heard anything of like super quality in regards to, you know, this type of music. It was an R&B project, so it's like, you know, R&B and gospel and all that. So that's the hardest kind of thing to like get the emotion from. So I started there. But yeah, all the executives, all the people, even the company at Suno, they loved it. They thought it was like, yeah, you kind of cracked the code on this. Big name producers, DJ Toom, Dallas Austin, Lil Jon, just a lot of people, you know, they loved it. They were just like, yo, mine can't do that. How are you doing that?
Yeah.
So yeah, I felt like I cracked the code on something. So it was received really well.
So how do you feel about, and I follow you, so I said something, but like, you know, some people are in an uproar about this new signing of like I guess she's R&B and gospel as well, right?
The Zania Monet.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts looking at from a different lens in terms of signing AI artists? Does that push regular artists out, or what opportunities are out there for artists to still, I guess, still grow their craft, but then also include AI in that?
Right.
Just your thoughts.
Yeah. So, how many of you guys know what we're talking about?
A little bit.
They sing the. So, and just in context, there's a poet. She pretty much transformed her lyrics into songs with AI generated music, and she started getting she got millions of streams, millions of subscribers, all this stuff like that. People didn't know that it was AI. So a major music company, not a label per se, but they're starting a label. They're more of a media and a management company. They manage a lot of big name producers and writers, but they ended up signing her for $3 million. Her AI character. She made an AI character named Zania Monet. She made a couple music videos of just literally her singing the songs.
And they were
all AI avatars. And it just went crazy. It went dumb. So she ended up getting a $3 million deal. I don't know the terms of what she has to turn in for that deal, but the principle is she got a $3 million deal being a poet that doesn't do any vocal stuff from what I know, and turning it into another idea.
I want to know if it's the same thing. So basically, the school had brought out this AI truck. We went on the truck for math, and we literally got on the computer. And me being a music major, I just didn't want to create clothes and jewelry. So I went on there. I took a song that one of my deceased cousins had produced for me. I plugged the lyrics in. I literally put what type of notes or what type of melody I wanted to have, and it put the whole song together in 10 minutes. Is that the same thing? Yeah. Without the character, but it basically played the song for me in a Justin Timberlake type voice.
Yep.
Okay, that's one.
Yes, sir.
Do you think with the whole AI revolution that it is dumbing down the music? And what I mean by that is that it's not really creating anything new. It's based off a prior knowledge.
Yeah.
For future musicians, do you think it is pushing them out because now the technology is accessible to anyone?
Yeah.
I was just about to ask.
And so then here they are going through 4 years of craft,
Yeah.
learning it. Do you think, other than being able to perform, it can't perform,
Yes.
but what do you think the future is as far as, in other words, what I've seen since the DAW age, we've seen a dumbing down of creativity. For example, the top selling albums are still from the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Right.
And do you think that has diminished the music quality? Scenario number one.
Yeah.
Or do you think a better scenario is to use the AI as a tool to help your creativity? So I used to say this. I love about Jermaine Dupri. I did some work with him. He plays a mean drum machine, but the fact is he's still touching it,
Right.
and it's just not dragging loops on a timeline.
Right.
So do you think which scenario will play out? The total elimination of all musicians, or the coalition of using musicians learning how to harness it, but still adding the human element in it?
Yeah. So I can actually answer all of those in one, your question and your question all in one conversation. I've considered every possible thing, and to say all those will exist, I don't think this brings to where one becomes more important or dominant than the other. I think, simply put, I think that this innovation, and you can call them tools, you can call it however you want to apply it to your life and your workflow of life and creativity, it creates new types of creatives, creates new roles for what people have never been able to even think about in creativity. Like right now, there's talks in the music industry about studios, publishers, all them having what's called prompt engineers, where it's like they're there to know how to utilize the AI tools, and that wasn't a job before.
Right.
there's an opportunity with music in general to be easier to understand for how people understand things for themselves, right? Like I stopped doing piano because I hated doing this regular scales and but when I got on piano roll, I understood scales way easier. I understood music theory way different looking at a piano roll versus sitting at a piano.
Because it's still the same thing.
It's still the
You
same
gotta
exact
plug it
thing.
in.
It's just different about how you had to train your mind to go about it.
But doesn't it take away from some of your best composers took that time?
That's because that's what they had at the time.
Okay.
But I think
They used the technology of the time.
Of the time.
Let's
Yeah.
say it like that. The best composer that you're referring to, whoever it may be, they were utilizing and they got famous by utilizing the best the best technology at the time.
Right.
We didn't start getting into vintage and all of these back in the day tools until technology companies started marketing to us that. If you
Okay.
go back and talk to a Miles Davis or anything like that back in the day, any of those art, Herbie Hancock, any of those art, if you were able to talk to them, they were utilizing the latest technology
Of their day.
of that day.
right.
So you're
We
talking.
only look at it as old school because we're in a newer time than they live. So when you say vintage or you say old school, it's only because these things precede you.
A better example would be.
I think he has a question.
Respect. They use Suno is it Suno used to make melodies too, right? With producers because I've
Yeah, I
seen
mean all of the AI gen tools. It's not just there's
There's
so
a bunch
many,
of them. UDO.
So many AI tools. Udio. There's
Right.
Arcade has AI stuff in it. Everything has
Co-producer.
AI in it. I say anything that and to sum everything up, to kind of hope answer a lot of your.
Because I got one follow-up question for
Yeah,
you.
all that to say that creativity is not limited by what is done before, right? That's how we innovate, right? When
Right.
somebody's willing to say, I'm going to do something unconventional and be unapologetic about it. Because the moment that we start putting barriers on how people create and labeling things, I think that we start bottlenecking the whole concept of creativity, which is just to be free and express yourself. So I'm a firm believer in whatever way it takes for you to get out your ideas and get the gratification of expressing yourself, which is the joy of art. Do it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take away from anybody else on how they do it. That's always the part I always want to make sure. It doesn't take away from anything else. If you still want to sit there and do your whatever you can, it doesn't make it. There's no law that's been created that says you can't go and do it the way that you've
done it.
always known to do it.
I just think some people will I think there should be a fine line between that, especially as creators, because there's some people, for example, she made her success off of that. You know what I'm saying? But you have some people that will use that will think, okay, I can just create off of that. I don't have to do the work. And we're in a generation now to where gratification, like I don't want to process. You know what I'm saying?
I love that.
I want to create right now, and I want to be liked because social media and media is now a big thing now. So how many views can I get, or how many streams
Good
can I
point.
get? Because I don't care really about the art. I really care about the money. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we're chasing the money and not the dream.
Right.
Question.
You know what I'm saying?
So I would say to that, on the business side of things, they're gonna burn out. You're seeing it like even when the age of like when TikTok and we came out of the pandemic and all the labels were starting all the different TikTok stores. How many of them are sustaining today?
Well, see, I won't say anything is gonna burn out. I'm saying that all these things can coexist. There is no either or. That's where I feel like I hear a lot of people saying it's like this or that, and this will take away from this and take away from that. It will. The opportunity to still do this while doing that is always available. And so, will it motivate people to do that? I think it's more of the question that people are asking. Yes.
True or false? And this is for my music majors. From your, at least from my observation, living and seeing the technology go from, I used to do it tape.
Right.
All of it. What I have found is that the more talented a person musically is, the greater they have used the tool.
That's, yeah.
Okay, and the less talented they were, it was just okay. So what you say with the new AI tools, true or false? The more talent you have, the greater your creativity in the end result of using that tool.
True in regards to, and I want to say this very delicately,
Okay.
that we cannot put a box on what talented means, because what talented means in theory, right? And not in theory, just in general definition, is being exceptional at something.
Right.
Or expressing yourself, or more than others.
And this
right?
covers whether it's poets, anything
Right.
in the realm
And
of
so
art.
I agree and say true that the more talented that you are with expressing yourself and learning all the tools that you need to be able to express yourself, that is to me, yes, that makes it true. So yeah, that's
So do you understand? In other words, I think one side of me looking at this is though we don't need music majors, we don't need nothing, any
No, you
training
still need
whatsoever.
music majors.
Right, but
Still need music
the general vibe is anybody can do it. So
because the music people
Yeah.
translate. This is the benefit that I see in the world. Just kind of like giving my vision for this all, like what I try to make my contributions be into this space. Is very much so. I want everybody to learn what they want to learn. Because curious, it opens up more door to curiosity, and you learn what you need to make your contributions to it. And we're all going to grow together, right? It's
Yeah.
not a thing that separates us. We're just in a conversation right now where, it's early conversation. But in reality, it's going to make the super musical person that couldn't learn how to produce a record,
yeah, even crazy, really good. Yeah.
the person that really has really great ideas musically but can't play an instrument.
So that's how we
It gives everybody an opportunity to express
And that's what we've
themselves.
seen so far.
Right, and so because there's some things that we haven't seen so far, there's so many things that are created in the unseen, in the
Yeah.
unknown. Anytime you face, this is like a gem I try to leave with people, it's like anytime you're in like the face of the unknown, that's like the best position you can
Yeah.
possibly be in. Most people run from it, but that means there's so much for you to be able to explore in that space. The fear of the unknown is what holds people back. But if
that's
you can
good.
use that fear to like push you forward into the unknown, you get to be a part of creating things because there's nothing there, you don't know. So the journey is figuring out, how do I sit with a musician to add what I do if I don't like this type of music and this style of genre of music, I now can easily get that genre of music out, and then from there start reverse engineering how we got to this point, so that I have the knowledge to be able to replicate that or just speak to the AI
Yeah.
again to do it better. You know what I mean?
Oh, I was just saying, I think you're making a great point about the whole general idea of it, because I agree on that same thing. Like, I look at T-Pain, Kanye West, people like those, like I look at those are the same tiers as a Barry White. Even though people might look at you crazy, but it's like, if Barry White had FL, I'm sure he would have used it.
Yeah, he would
You know what
have.
I'm saying?
Right,
So
for
it's
sure.
like, when you think about it to that aspect, it's just innovating and it's just
Yeah,
creating.
and that's what I think. It's very important that I try to tell as many people as possible, my perspective on it, because of the simple fact that even at my level, I have plenty of records that aren't AI, right? All the new little stuff that's coming out is not AI, but our community is always left behind because of fear mongering. So there's an okie doke that happens within like the entertainment business, the industry, all this kind of stuff. It's not even like a theory because there's patterns, right? Anytime there's public denouncement of something, generally it's because big corporations are like formulating and they haven't figured out how to utilize it for themselves. And the moment they shut it down,
Yes,
is
sir.
the moment that they're building that thing. And then when then they champion it and be like, yeah, everybody should be doing this because they figured out how to market it, you guys champion it. Or they figured out how to make revenue.
That's
from that.
good.
So this whole AI conversation, especially in our community, you know, it's one of those things where they're not having this conversation in the Chinese community. They're not having this conversation amongst the general public. It may seem like everybody's having the conversation, but you know, with us, we like to just, you know, we like to, nobody that likes being the person that's like not cool about something amongst a whole bunch of people. So the most important thing is that you don't let any of this stuff take you away from the fact that you need to use it. You guys are at an adult age where it's not detrimental to your development. You guys are smart enough to figure out how to develop through it, because the same way people have built stuff on top of the internet, and then the internet built social media,
Right.
and then people figured out social media. Now we figured out streaming, the two biggest black streamers that are going crazy, and you know, they're streamers in general, right? Us. Everybody that's bigger than them, they got their cool because they want to be us. When we get into this space of AI and revolution, you know, over in Africa, they're coming up with stuff the same. Like freshmen in high school are coming up with real companies and billion-dollar ideas, and you know, getting stuff happening. So it's just one of those things where it's very important. You know, if nothing else, you guys leave with the importance of figure out how it's convenient for you, and figure out how you can help it like change your life. Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna ask this question, is this like a fight or a war type, like, between musicians and producers who use AI, you know? Like that, like,
No, I won't
it's like,
fight.
you know, like musicians, we like, you know,
No, I mean,
we put the work in by playing and writing notes, and then we have producers who do AI and, you know, make the music like that, you know, and make it different like that, so.
well, traditionally, you know, there's always going to be a balance in, you know, human man. This is just a human question or a human observation. People represent what they represent, right? They're gonna die on the sword that they yield, right? And so that's in our creativity. It's more than ever, you know, because there's a lot of ego driven in creativity, and so in history, though, repeating itself. There's always been a time like this with technology and creativity, where there's people that say the old way that we've been doing it is better than the new way that's coming. And the only reason from history that the people on the other side are wrong, in the sense of the old way, are wrong and they don't survive if they don't convert, is because they're not letting people cook. Everybody likes to judge things for where it's at.
Right.
You're comparing all your wealth of time and knowledge and history of what you know how to do compared to something that's developing. It's like a 50-year-old trying to talk mess to a toddler. It's like, bruh, yeah, I'm not gonna like make sure I go to the bathroom on time, because guess what? I haven't been here long enough to know that that's the proper way of doing, or that perspective. You're just like saying, oh, you're 4 years old and you know how to like talk to me right now, so you know you're stupid. But it's just like, that's just how life is. So we've seen it over and over.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, I kind of see this or AI as like if I were thinking about baseball, like Barry Bonds in a home run.
Yeah.
Do we have to put an asterisk? Are we gonna end up putting asterisks beside AI used things versus?
I think that's a problem, or that's a solution that people are using right now, where it's labeled as that. I think that's a great space to stay in right now, and kind of like build from there.
You think it is good to differentiate between what was made AI?
Yeah,
and
because
what
that
was
way you have
made?
a context on, because judgment always needs context. And so it's like, you know, there's a running joke about, I think Dave Chappelle made, like, when LeBron James considered himself, you know, a woman, and just like went into the WNBA league. And it was just like, no, I identify as a, you know.
Right.
So it's the same thing where it's like, it's an unfair advantage in everything's context.
Right.
You don't do it that way.
But you know what? Don't be afraid of it. Bach had harpsichords. Beethoven had a piano.
Right.
And Beethoven, we remember his piano music.
Yeah.
We don't remember Bach had died, and then here comes the piano.
Right. And then
Music
Quincy
changes.
Jones had a 24 track.
Right. Or
Right.
Miles Davis, who's my hero, managed to go from the 50s, played with Charlie Parker, and still was killing during the 90s.
Yeah.
Because what he did was he kept embracing new ideas.
And he traveled the world too, so
Yeah.
his
Right.
idea, if he wanted to make a Spanish record, he can make it.
Right.
He went to
Right.
Paris.
But what if somebody was like, nah, bruh, you from America.
So you can't.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
That's cheating. You coming back here knowing how to make salsa music? Nah, bro. That's
Well, that's what they said.
Cause you can hop on an airplane? Nah, that's cheating, bro. You
I
can
mean,
hop on an
they
airplane.
can say that too, but look at Quincy. They just mastered. So I think that's the difference between being culturally aware and when we get into technology, there's
Technology
such
is
thing.
culture, too.
It's a culture, but it's a dynamic of there's no human on human.
Yes,
You know what I'm saying?
there is.
There's a human, but AI can't sit in front of you.
So can you break down, I guess, just to bring more clarity in terms of that the human aspect as it comes to AI? So, because again, it's all new to us, so to us, or at least to me,
Mhm.
it may be like, oh, there's no human energy.
Right.
So can you clarify that in terms of how that works?
Yeah, so I think it's I think that concept itself is, when people talk about it, it's very unidirectional. So what I mean by human to human, right? Everything stems from a human. You know,
Right.
When you're talking about creativity, great people study great people. So I'm gonna do it by factor points. Human factor is who you're taking from, right? The human that you're taking from, or the humans that you're inspired by that you're taking from.
Right.
Then you have to input us into a system that's created by a human, that's interacted with by a human, to put that information in there and say, hey, give me all of the information I need or I don't know about this person or thing.
Yeah.
From there, now I'm able to tell it, hey, this is how I like to be talked to, and this is how I want to be translated, which is basing off of humans. Mine says sir. I have a British voice that says sir in every single thing that I ask it to do. Now, once I'm creating, I'm now able to output faster music that I can use to now collaborate with other humans, whether it be calling a musician to come in, or my boy got, better drums. I don't feel like doing drums today. I just wanted to generate a whole bunch of ideas. So now I'm about to call my partner that literally loves to program drums. Hey, come back and come reprogram all these drums. Now he's gonna put his sauce on it.
Right.
We can send it out via email to whoever we need to. They can get it back. There's the touch points just look very different in regards to how we talk about
How we
connection
used to
or
do it.
communicating.
Right.
So it's more of, we're more utilizing what's was versus what is in real time when we're talking about human-human interaction. So I understand what everybody's saying in the sense of you're just talking to a computer, but we're missing all the touch points that allow the computer to communicate with you, and then what you use computer for to communicate.
Right.
So just before we answer any more questions, can you also give just the concept behind Prompt House?
Yeah. So Prompt House, as a company, what we're trying to do, or what we're doing actually right now, is we're helping people with solutions through AI and creativity. So what that really looks like is Ludacris wanted to do like a follow-up content video for his BET freestyle. So we wanted to make sure that we used AI and Google VO. We took his lyrics, made a claymation, something that he could use to just do some content where he didn't actually have to get up and go do nothing again, because he just did what he did. And so similar to that kind of situation, where our goal right now is to create music, create entertainment, and put it out there like at a high level to show people like this is possible at a high level. And then the second part is that we're also trying to advocate for independent artists and brands to understand the importance
All right,
of
that's pretty
branding,
much it.
because when you